Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Ripple's webinar, Pitches and Proposal, How to Gain New Clients as a Freelancer in Europe and US. My name is Ella Seriki, and I will be your host for this exciting session. Also, co-hosting with me is Olarinde Olokuntoye. Please, could you introduce yourself to everybody?
Hi guys, my name is Alain Delukuntoye, and I'm happy to host you today. Yeah, thank you so much.
Before we dive in, let me give you a quick overview of what we'll be covering today. First, we'll explore the art of crafting winning pitches with Adebimpe, a highly skilled lead designer at Framer Dojo. Then Gbolahan, who works as a senior data analyst at Magnet, will share valuable insights on freelancing opportunities in Europe and in the US. Finally, we'll be back to Adebimpe, who will guide us through the process of writing effective proposals that truly resonate with clients. For those who are new here, Ripple is a platform that provides talented freelancers with the financial tools that they need to save, send, and receive money in multiple currencies, such as USD, Euro, and Naira. We are passionate about empowering independent professionals, and that's why we created this webinar, to help you build successful freelancing careers. Throughout the session, we'll have opportunities for the Q&A. So please feel free to use the chat function to submit your questions. So for our first session, can we have a warm welcome to our first speaker, Adebimpe. Adebimpe Omolaso is a lead product designer at Framer Dojo with over 6 years of experience creating user-centric digital products. His work spans user research, prototyping, and high-fidelity design, consistently boosting user engagement and development efficiency. He's passionate about design and research, and he continuously seeks innovative ways to craft intuitive experiences and unwinds with Netflix to draw inspiration from diverse storytelling. I hope that intro did you justice.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, so yeah, you can go ahead. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to share my screen now, and we'll get started. So let me know when we can see my screen.
Yes, we can see your screen.
All right. So, Ella, thank you very much for introducing me. Much appreciated. Yes, my name is Adebimpe Omolasho. I'm a lead designer at Framer Dojo, and my core focus is usually about helping businesses to make more traction. So today we are going to be talking about how you can bring new clients in Europe and US with ease. I know some people are going to believe that it's a very difficult task to getting clients or clients in US or Europe, but it's not that difficult. Okay, so What I'm going to craft here, what I'm going to teach us today is basically around all the tips and tricks that I know and what has been working for me in order to get you into the good graces of the clients in Europe and US. So this is what I'm going to be talking about. First, I'm going to give you a general introduction about me and the pain point I had to see just to, in order to like think about like creating a compelling presentation, compelling pitch rather, in order to convince these people that I actually know what I'm doing and I can bring value for them. Then I'm going to give you the ingredients about what makes a great pitch. And I'll give you an example case study of the kind of simple pitch I can send to Europe and US clients, especially maybe using Upwork, Fiverr, and so on and so forth. And I'm going to give you like other tips and tricks that you should know. And then we could also move into Q&A questions if you have one. All right. So for the longest time, it has always been my idea that I want to make a lot of money, but I struggle with this because like I'm only getting clients from Nigeria because I used to be in Nigeria. But the interesting thing is that immediately my pitches changed and I started talking to the clients, I was able to make enough money that now later made me move to Canada. So now, knowing this already should give you that it's very important that you not only know how to structure your pitch very well, you also need to know how to send that pitch to the clients that you want to interest. Now, I know this topic is subject on we want to gain clients in both Europe and US, but this works across board. Whatever country you want to, whatever clients you want to reach out to, you can always reach out to them even before you reach out to, even before they reach out to you, right? So let's say you've done your work and then you've done your research about different companies and so on and so forth. You've done your research and you've looked for these different companies, right? What your key focus here that is going to make you stand out amongst every other person, right? That are also trying to bid for jobs, bid for contracts. What is going to make you stand out and get you the best client that you can ever get, as well as build a lasting relationship, partnership with them, is if you give them something, if you tell them it's a compelling story that they cannot forget. And that leads me to what makes a great pitch. The bottom line of what makes a great pitch is all about FOMO. And what is FOMO? It means what? The fear of missing out. So that means your pitch has to hit the point to tell them that if you don't work with me, these are all the things you're going to miss out on, right? So once you have that as a baseline in your thought process, or like, oh, okay, because I'm very sure that like you, many of us are going to be thinking that, oh, it's actually very difficult to write an interesting pitch, especially when you're not really familiar with like the terrain, okay? But it's not that difficult. The bottom line is make sure you understand it's all about FOMO. Let the client know that if they don't work with you, they are going to miss out and they are going to miss a lot, okay? So now, you can how you make your FOMO is by what? Making a speech stand out by forecasting the outcome. And so if you forecast an outcome, say, let me give you an example now. Say you know a business and the business is doing like maybe $10,000 monthly. And you know that they have one or two problems with, say, their marketing, okay? And you see that you just did maybe a simple SEO research on them, using maybe SEMrush, because I'm talking from a designer perspective now. You're doing your research, right? You find out that the number of users they're getting is not as much as they should get, okay? So immediately you can structure your piece so that you tell them exactly what is wrong and how you can go on about winning. So everything I've just told you now is all about what? Storytelling. So in order to create an interesting pitch and structure that FOMO is what? You need to tell a compelling story. Telling a compelling story has certain ingredients that you need to know. The first thing is you need to know, why am I pitching to them? Okay? Because if you don't know the why you are pitching to them, you've just missed out. So And knowing the why is going to now introduce you to other things, okay? Like who are their target audience, what are their own pain points, as well as what are their target audience pain points. Because the thing is, when you are dealing with businesses, many businesses always have this bottom line, like, okay, I need to make more money, or I need to do some things faster. So making more money or doing some things faster or reducing costs, right, or wastage for those companies, those are what they're interested in. I've literally researched so many businesses, and most of them, when they talk about the kind of different issues and problems they have, these are the things that I find them still falling into. Okay, but some of us might still be asking like, oh, yes, I didn't know the pain points. I know their users' pain points. I know who their customer is, right? I know why what they've tried and why they are failing. But now, how do I structure this? Okay, so this is how you structure it. Is that the first thing you want to do is you want to set the scene. So this is where you give yourself the ability to want to highlight, oh, these are the current problems that you're having, or these are the things you're actually presently moving on. Okay, and then now you want to paint the future, like, oh, if you work with me, right? If you work with me, these are the other people I have done this for, and is doing this number for them. And it's always, at this point, it's always important that you put the numbers. So maybe you increase the customer base of users by a couple of numbers. You reduce the conversion rate. When I mean conversion, I know that some of us may not be web design inclined. So conversion rates could be like the number of people that signs up, or the number of people that fills a newsletter, or the number of people that comes to your platform to take an action, right? Based on agreement. So all of this is still what you structure it that way, right? To paint the future. And then you obviously you want to also now go ahead to like now back it with relevant success stories, because these relevant success stories now of, oh, I've done it for this person before, and if I've done it for this person before, I can do it. And then when I say close with impact here, I was only referring to the fact that users, it's very funny that even if you are looking for investment, if you are looking for a job, if you are looking for clients, right? Any country, any continent, it still boils down to the same thing. If your pitch is so interesting and you do not have a call to action, it's going to be very, very problematic. Very, very problematic, because you just wasted your whole time doing that. And the call to actions could be something as basic as, oh, can we set up another call next week? Okay. Or what are the thoughts, or what numbers do you have in mind to discuss with, right? Don't just end it about, oh, I've done this before, we like to work with me. No. Let's do, make your impact, or make your closing statement now to have what we call a sense of urgency. You always want to play a sense of urgency when you are closing with the impact. Okay, so now this may still sound a little bit vague, right, to some of us, but when we fully understand the key steps to making your pitch stand out, then everything will be totally clarified. Okay, so now the first thing first is the purpose of your pitch is meant to show how your client's problem, how you solve your client's problem better than anybody else. And that starts with what? Having a compelling hook. Then you want to highlight your unique selling point. So when I say a compelling hook, is like, oh, do you know that you have over 10,000 complaints from Instagram? And then you even add like a couple of screenshots from Instagram. That one, now they're interested, like, okay, this person found out about me. Okay, what next did they want to say? And then you now introduce your words, your unique selling point, that, oh, these are the people I've solved the problem for, and I will be able to solve this problem for you. And this is what I stand for, and this is what I do. And then the next thing I want to do is you want to talk about like the people you have solved for, okay? And then you now round up on what? A strong call to action. Like I said earlier, like you need to put a sense of urgency. That's the key word. You want to make sure that you have a sense of urgency. So all of these 4 items I just mentioned are literally what you need in order to make sure that your pitch comes out interesting and compelling. Now, to now structure your pitch, right? Because everything I've been telling you about is like, oh, this is how you say it, right? Now, to structure your pitch is, the first thing is you introduce yourself, right? To show that, oh, I'm actually really, you introduce yourself to show that, and how you introduce yourself is by telling them that, oh, I found you somewhere, right? And when I found you, I feel like these are the current problems that you have, okay? And then make sure that if you are doing it via a Zoom, if your pitch is via a Zoom, this is where this part of structuring your pitch comes. So the first section that we're talking about has been around you sending out a pitch document to them because they don't know you yet, right? But once they know you, first thing is you make sure you introduce yourself. Then next thing is you want to create that personal connection. And I learned this from how to win friends and influence people, right? And you mention by name, you greet them by their name, very important, right? So, and then you also want to like research on them and just talk about maybe one or two statements that you know about them, okay, before you go on. So that way you build that personal statement. And obviously, people will always want to buy from their friends, right? I know it sounds very funny, but people focus on buying on emotion rather than buying from logic, right? So sometimes it's actually easier to sell when you are targeting those emotional points at different steps of your selling pitch, right? So the next thing is you want to make sure that you quickly highlight the problem statement. And highlighting this problem statement again, so let's say you send it out the pitch before, and then you want to like talk about what they have, and then you focus and you just stay around their family members and so on and so forth. No, that's not good. You always want to make sure that everything is just short, straight to the point. That's why what I do is I set up like a 15-minute Zoom call, and I send you an agenda before our conversation. So, and then I have a timer beside me where I'm just checking the time and we're hitting it, boom, 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 boom. So even if they have questions to ask, it's very important that you also bring them in, right? Because the thing is, it's easier for somebody to keep talking about what they have or the problems that they have, rather than totally pitching all the time, okay? So I understand that I've established the fact that, oh, you need to pitch, you need to say this, you need to say that, right? But it's always better to let your pitch come out as a point where you are just trying to even gain more insight, right? While you're presenting that you are the best. So the next step now is to identify the problem statement, right? And you say this, and you want to say it like in a very interesting and nice story, right? Oh, you won't believe it. While I was scrolling through Instagram, I stumbled upon a couple of complaints, right, to even one of your recent ads. And this led me to think that I feel like I should be able to help you. And that was why I sent you an opener pitch for you to come on this call. All right. And then after analyzing the problem and you brought them to the call and you said all of those stories, right? The next thing is you want to make sure you clarify or present your solution. Oh, I feel like with what you have now is good, but we could make it better. Okay, because obviously sometimes when you depending on the kind of size of business you are trying to attract, right? So the circumstance may change. But let's say it's just a business that they're just starting out. So you probably think that whoever is creating their content for them, probably like maybe the owner of the business, so to speak. So in that way, I'm like, okay, you don't want to tell them that you have a terrible, terrible design. You're like, okay, it's good, but let's just make it better, right? And make sure that you always want to present the numbers for that. Okay, if I do this, I guarantee you that you are going to get this amount of numbers. So it begins to make sense. All right. So now this is where when you are on a call with them and trying to make out your pitch. Okay. Then the next step is you've identified the solution. Now you want to go into talking about the benefits, right? So these are the benefits you are going to get from working with me. Okay. So that's why having the result, right? So let's say the result is what you want to deliver to them is like you're going to design a new website, right? So now what's good is that website to them. So you can tell them that, okay, it's going to get you new amount of users, new amount of clients, and there will be less people leaving their website, and more people are going to stay hooked to their website, right? Or they are going to perform the action that is actually intended to be performed, using a website as an example. Okay. Then the next step is you want to do a call to action. So this call to action is where you literally state exactly what you want. Be very specific. Do you want to Do you want to go to the next step? Let's talk about the numbers and the charge. And the mistake I see many people is that they just talk about the money upfront, even before talking about what the problem they have and so on and so forth, right? You always want to bring this at the end, and then always have an end note. So the end note could be off call or on call. So I used to drop like, thank you so much for coming to my Zoom talk, or thank you so much for attending. I know that this partnership is going to be a great one, and then you want to leave positive statement, right? Because funny enough, people tend to remember the first thing and the last thing you tell them, but you see everything in the middle is more of like a blur. Okay, that's why we always make sure that the action and the end notice usually like come together. Okay, during your pitch. So now I want to give an example of a case study pitch that I sent out to someone. So this is not on a corner, more of like just a sent out that got me a very good sum of money. Okay, so this client of mine happened to be in Portugal at the time, and I didn't know them. I didn't even know they were in Portugal. What I just knew was that they had a website, right, and the website was just horrible. Okay, and me being a Framer designer now, and me being a website designer who also designs on Framer, I was able to identify that, okay, I can help them build their website. All right, so this is what I sent out to them. So I started with like dear CEO, right, comma, and then we now move on. Then I immediately went into like talking about the status quo. Okay, so and the status quo was when potential clients search for an AI training solution, they are overwhelmed by technical jargon and code interfaces. Yet your platform simplifies AI development in ways your competitor can't match. But this story isn't being told effectively on your website. So you can see what I started with there. I didn't start with, I think your website is terrible and I'm not even really interested. No, I started with, okay, you have some good things working for you currently on your website, but I feel like we can even make it better. All right. And then I move into the Eurpoe. So the way I tell my my stories is more like a 3 accent that I learned from school, from basically Shakespeare, right? So you always want to start with the status quo, and then the second point is where you are introducing your hero point, and then the third point now you will see as we progress. So the hero point, I can see immediately, I'm just going straight to the point here. I specialize in crafting websites for AI companies that convert technical excellence. So notice where I said AI companies. I design for all types of companies, but I wanted them to know that, oh, based off of them, right, I am also a niche designer, because people like to hear all those kind of things. You don't want to tell them that, oh, I design for another industry that is so distant from them. Say, for example, now you design for like healthcare. All right. So you can see that I know that there's AI in healthcare, but like when you say you design for healthcare, people are probably thinking about maybe different types of devices or gadgets around healthcare, right? They are not really necessarily thinking about like an AI model training and cloud solution company. Okay. So then I went on to talk about my testimonial, because they also like, they will also be interested in knowing that, oh, can I actually work with this person? Does this person have enough track record to help me deliver what they say they have delivered, right? And you can see here, I went on to say recently I've helped an ML platform increase their trial signups by 85%. I can see this year now, the way I structured it, it kind of sounds like I've actually done this before, right? But if you notice it, it's a smart way of like telling them that even though I've not done it before, it's a smart way of telling them that I have done something, right? But I've not done it the way I've not done it the way how would I put it like this now? I've done something, but deep down I know that I've not done it, right? But it's just a way to package myself, because if you ask me now, okay, can you send us the design of something like this you've done before, right? I can literally just whip up something and send to them, and they're like, oh, okay, we think we like what we do, because they definitely like what they see when I whip it up, right? So I helped an ML platform increase their trial sign-ups by 85% by designing their website to speak both to technical decision makers and business leaders. All right. Then moving on is now the action steps. The action step is where I tend to now identify the things I'm going to do for them So it's just like the way a lot of people get advice, that you always want to put in the mind of people what you are going to do for them, even before even starting at all, right? So, and look at again what I did here. I went on to first talk about like, oh, they have something good, but this is how we are going to make it magic or magical. What sets your platform apart is the elegant balance of power and accessibility. Let me create a website that captures these unique values through interactive demonstration of your platform capabilities. Then I will help you guide your visitors through clear use case and success stories, because people tend to enjoy seeing success stories and know that, okay, yes, I think we can work with these people, right? And then we are going to provide a seamless path from interest to action with what strategic conversion points. Okay, so like I have explained what strategic conversion point is earlier. And then finally, you always want to have a call to action, right? So you can see, very simple. Would you be open to a brief call next week to discuss how we can turn your website into magic, right? So, and that is what I do, right, to make me get the type of clients I get. That is literally my own simple blueprint here. So I've been able to show you what's it called? I'll be able to show you how you can pitch online via Zoom call or in person, and then I'll be able to show you how you can send a sample pitch to a proposed client, right? Now let's look at the tips of success. So this is more like a recap, but we are still going to move forward. So we have to start with why. So why are you talking to this client, right? Not just because of what you want to get from them, right? But also about how do you want to genuinely help this person. I used to tell people that the reason why many of us lose clients is because we are not genuine. We're just like, oh, you know what, just give me what I want and I want to, and I'm going to go. But when people can read that genuineness from you, right, they tend to want to invest in you or give you more money to do the stuff for them quickly, rather than sending something to them that it just looks half big or totally off point. Then the next thing is, you always want to focus your pitch on what will be best for the client. So sometimes I tell people that if you know that your pitch cannot solve the problem for the client, please leave the client alone. Very important, leave the client alone. Yes, you know that you want to do business with the client and everything. Or if you know somebody that can do it, then just refer the client to the other person. You can actually send a pitch on behalf of somebody. There's no sitting down, right? So, but you always want to focus very intensely on the client goal. I remember when I was talking about when I was I was writing the pitch to the AI startup, right? What I was literally focused on, like, I didn't just tell them, oh, I'm working for these other industries. I literally said that I specialize in designing for this set of companies. So that the client said, okay, this person will have a clear understanding of what my industry is about, right? And know who my users are. Okay. And then the next thing is, you need to always focus on keeping it simple. If your paragraph is something that if your set of paragraph is something that you cannot digest under 3 to 5 minutes, even 3 to 5 minutes long, 1 minute, right? You should write it again. It's something that they can easily digest under 1 minute. If you are online, right, or in person, you always want to make sure that you are asking them questions to be sure they are following on. Okay, so and this is the mistake I know that many people do, is that when they're introducing some of these speeches like this, before you know, they're just skipping through. They're not even sure whether the client is even following or not. So you always want to get that feedback from them when you are doing that. And that's what leads us to what? Practice your delivery. Like for me, I always, even if I'm going to go to any online presentation, I always try and rehearse over and over and over and over and over and over till I get it right. If I don't get it right, I'm going to keep rehearsing till I get into that meeting. Okay, so the client knows that, oh, this guy is literally here for me, right, and not just here for himself. And like I said, when you've delivered and maybe you've left the call or you've left the meeting, you always want to make sure that you do a follow-up, right? And always let your follow-up to be what? To have a sense of urgency. Like I said, a sense of urgency is what matters the most. I say a lot of people, they'll be like, I'm waiting for the client to give me a feedback. Whereas you have not even messaged the client at all. So you are practically wasting your time. And then you're asking me why you are not getting enough clients, right? So that is the problem that I see a lot of people face. So do we have any questions?
Yeah, if we have any questions, we can have them in the Q&A. Okay, so before we go on to the next speaker, thank you so much. We want to say thank you so much to Mr. Adebimpe for taking his time out to show us how he gets things done so that we can get things done, because this year money must be made. And when you make your money, please sign up to Ripple so that you can receive your money. So, yeah, thank you so much. That was so impactful, exactly powerful, like what people in the comments are saying. Oyenike said, wow, thank you, Mr. Adebimpe. That was a powerful insight shared. Thank you. So yeah, we are really, really grateful. We really do appreciate you. Before I invite Mr. Gbolahan to come up on stage, we just want to announce the first two winners. That is out of the 5 winners that we have today. So for the first person, can we have a drum roll, please? We have Damilola Babalola. Damilola Babalola. Damilola Babalola. Congratulations, you were among one of the first 6 people to come to this webinar. So we will be giving you a $10 voucher to use on Ripple. So we will reach out to you after the webinar so that you can claim that. Thank you. The second person is, drum roll, please, Afiz Akani. Afiz Akani, are you here? Congratulations. You just won yourself $10. $10 to use as you see fit on our Ripple platform. So up next, yay, yeah. Well, congratulations. I mean, you worked hard. You came first. You were among one of the first people. So yeah, you deserve it. Thank you so much. So next up, we have Mr. Gbolahan. And Mr. Gbolahan will be taking us through how to write effective proposals, turning ideas to deals. So, and he will be talking for the next 15 minutes. For our 3 remaining winners, please stick around to the end of the webinar. We will be announcing the remaining 4 winners. Sorry, my bad, because it was supposed to be 5, but we made it 6. So please stick around so that you can find out if you made it to top 6. So we have a question for Mr. Adebimpe. We have a question, but I feel like because of our time, we will take that at the end of the webinar. So please stick around so that we can answer your question. We just want to have Mr. Gbolahan start up so that we can get back on track. Mr. Gbolahan, hi.
Hey, what's up? Can you hear me? Okay. All right.
Yes, I can hear you. So can we give it up for Mr. Gbolahan? He's a data visualization developer at Magnet. He has been using Tableau for over 3 years for both work and fun. He is a Tableau public ambassador for 2023. Like, that is so amazing. A 2-time winner of the Vizzies Biggest Growth 2023 and Notable Newbie in 2022, and has received 6 Viz of the Day nominations on Tableau Public. Outside of Tableau, he loves Manchester City. So all our Man U fans, he's here for you. Sorry, all our Man City fans, he's here for you. The gym, he likes going to the gym. Whiskey and Pinteresting. I also like Pinteresting. Adebimpe brings a wealth of knowledge and practical to the table. We are so lucky to have him here. Please join me in giving Gbolahan a warm welcome. Welcome, Mr. Gbolahan. You can go ahead and take the floor.
All right, yeah, amazing. Thank you, Ella, and thank you to guys behind the goal for organizing this really lovely webinar. And thank you for the very warm welcome. I'm very much flattered. I'm going to share my screen now, and then I would sort of rush through what I have, because basically, Bipe has only talked about most of these things. They sort of apply in very similar ways, but there would definitely be variations to some of these things that I would also try to share in line with my experience and in line with how I've tried to, start my way through this proposals and getting clients. Let me know if you can see my screen. I am currently trying to share. Can you see my screen? Cool.
You can see your screen.
Yeah, very nice. So yeah, freelancing in Europe and the US. Because I'm a data analyst, so definitely there are trends. There is data around it. There are stats about how much of a big role freelancing gets to play, not just in the US or not just in Europe, or even across the world. Because globally, approximately 1.57 billion freelancers worldwide, accounting for about 46% of the global workforce. And you can imagine, because a freelancer definitely is someone that could be an independent contractor and would earn wages on a per job or per tax basis, right? And most typically for short-term work, right? So if you fall into this category, whether you get paid per work or per job that you do or per task, then you also fall under the category of being a freelancer. And in the United States, 73.3 million freelancers in 2023, representing a significant portion of the US labor force, and also contributed a huge amount to the economy, very similarly to Nigeria, very same as well with Europe, right? You can see the amount of people that are estimated to be freelancers as of 2021. So there was a growing trend in independent work. And what that means is, if you're a freelancer, it's not necessarily only tech, right? You can be a freelancer in technology and IT, software developers, data analysts, IT consultants, product designers, what have you. Also in the creative fields, graphic design, video editing, content creation, driven by the need for digital content, in consulting and business services, in HR consulting, people that try to help with financial planning. A lot of startups and SMEs definitely for these folks. And digital marketing, SEO specialists, social media managers, content creators, in education and training, people that do the online courses that you definitely try to learn new stuff from, and curriculum developers, freelance people. So if you're in the webinar and not necessarily, you've not had the exact field that you are in, does not really mean that you can be a freelancer there, because you can be a freelancer in virtually any industry, basically, and definitely get to connect to clients and make good money for yourself. But same reason in everything, there are always challenges, right? And some of the challenges that freelancers face, if you are one, or you're also trying to be one, there's much competition and also language barriers sometimes. But luckily, in the US and Europe, which is our focus today, the main language we're spoken is English, so that really helps. But there's so much competition. I'm sure any of us have tried to open for Fiverr in the last few years, and you can imagine when you try to open how many people are also competing for the same number of clients that you have intentions to get. And so this means that there are numerous skilled professionals vying for the same products, and definitely that's a challenge. And the markets could be sometimes saturated, right? And this is usually very difficult if you are new and you're trying to establish yourself. And so you try to lobby for a particular gig on Upwork or Fiverr or anywhere other platform, TopTal or anything. And then as a new person, you find it difficult to actually get your first client. And then the question is always, how do I go from being new to consistently getting gigs, right? And also, there's also challenge in terms of building trust with clients, because if you are going to get someone and the person is going to invest his money into you providing a service for him, most times the person will definitely want to see like a testimonial or a portfolio, and which I'm going to also talk about. And it's always a problem when you are trying to dip your toes into freelancing and you lack these things. It's usually makes it difficult to build trust with potential clients. And some clients like hesitate to hire freelancers that don't have proven experience in the industry. And then there is the legal and tax complexities. Sometimes you want to get gigs from the clients, and then there's a question of how do I negotiate this with you? Like, how do we get the contract and all of that sorted out? Well, luckily, there are platforms like DEEL these days that allow you to get independent contractor and work with anybody else and they act as a third party. But some of these problems are still very, very much out there. There is issue with cross-border tax compliance and all of that. There's also issues with receiving money, and luckily Ripple definitely helps with this. It used to be a huge problem also in the past where you get to work for a client and then it's time to get paid. And then there's so much confusion as to what platform, how do I get paid, what's the best way to get paid. And so these are some of the challenges that freelancers usually face. And now, yes, there are challenges. It might be tricky to get a client. It might be tricky to get into freelancing. And the question is, how do you write effective proposals? But I think there's a question before this is, how do you get clients, in fact, in the first place that you intend to write these proposals to? And me personally, speaking from experience, I would say I tried Upwork and Fiverr when I was starting out. And I mean, if I had the chance to restart all over again, that probably things I won't do again. But there was so much difficulty in getting that first client. You can imagine in Upwork, you have to spend a lot of money to get connects or Fiverr there of things to try to sort of bring your bid to like the front page, the first few ones that the client gets to see, because there's so much competition out there. And personally, I decided to use LinkedIn as my own source of sourcing for clients. And what was my strategy? So I had someone like with two different strategies. One, I realized that as a beginner, before you even think about writing proposals, you have to get a client in the first place. And then before you can convince anyone that you're good enough, you have to have proof, right? Personally, as a data analyst and someone who does visualizations, you have to build out your portfolio. So your portfolio in this case, in my case, could be visualizations, and product design could be several projects you've worked on. In content creation could be several things that you've done to boost one or two things for yourself personally. But you definitely have to put things together to showcase and say, hey, here's what I can do. And here's proof that when you trust me to deliver, I'm definitely going to put things through. And so that was the first thing. And then how do I translate building projects and having things on my portfolio to being able to lobby for clients and thinking about writing proposals when I even get someone to connect with in the first place? And so my strategy then was in two ways. So one, I work on a project, I post my project to LinkedIn or to Twitter or X, and I have people that get to like it and get to comment and all of that. And definitely try to do some little bit of interaction. And then when you do the interaction, then next thing I send sort of like a connection message, right? send a connection message, something like short, simple. Hi, I'm Gbolahan. I am a data analyst. I'm a tablet developer and this and that. And then I'd like to connect to you to just, show what I can do or just be in your network, basically, sometimes that way. And that was one strategy. And the other strategy was whenever I post my portfolio project, I sort of see the interactions that I get, and then I try to look through those people that interact with me. And then that means I try to connect with more people that would be much more likely to interact with my post, right? So for example, if you're a data analyst or a tablet developer, you want to have more people that are doing Tableau in your network or people that are more data related in your network, right? So that way you're able to pinpoint whenever I post, these are the people that get to see it. And from these people, I could eventually get gigs and get opportunities, or I could reach out to any of them as well. And then I get much more presence on, oh, I've seen this guy's stuff before. This guy's good. Oh, I've interacted with one of his business before. I've interacted with one of his projects before, or one of his content before. And so that was the second step. And then on that step, I then took it. So when I look at these people, I get to get their information. So that I used to use a website called Apollo that's like I think AI or something, where it's like an extension on your Chrome or your Path browser, wherever you use, where if you go to someone's page, you can sort of see their email that they've publicly put out there, right? Maybe in the website, their personal website or their company website and stuff. And then you can decide to send cold emails to them as well. So you can decide to send cold emails, and that's what we're talking about, how to write effective proposals through these cold emails. Or you can decide to reach out to them personally through their LinkedIn account. So it's basically, you have to create a presence for yourself through your portfolio, through what you post on social media, through making sure you're trying to attract the right audience, you're connecting with people that you know that could potentially be giving you gigs and jobs and opportunities out there. And then through this, you now do a little bit of work. You try to look through people's profile, people that you think are connected, CEOs of consulting companies in your case, or a startup that you would like to get the contract, so you like to do one or two things for them, and then you reach out to them that way. So there are different ways in which, like, there is the Fiverr and Upwork way where you list your project and then you have people reach out to you. And then there's also the much more active process, which is usually better for beginners, because as a beginner, you would most likely not be reached out to when you have several other people just looking for the same thing. And so that means you have to plunge yourself into the midst of it and then try to reach out to people. And then, as I said, no better way to reach out to people than to show evidence of what you can do. And so now you've reached out to people, you've seen people's, you've gotten email addresses, you've been connected with these guys on LinkedIn, you've seen people like your work, and you are very much in the stage where you feel, oh yeah, I'm known for what I can do, and now it's time for me to reach out and say, I definitely want to work for you. I definitely want to put out a project or be connected to you or have a contract or build something for you. So how do you write these proposals to reach out to these folks? So one, there is good engaging introduction. So you definitely have to briefly explain who you are, right? And why you are the right fit for wherever you're trying to present yourself to. So you try as much as possible to start with a brief introduction of yourself, while putting at the back of your mind that when you're trying to reach out to people for the first time, you definitely don't want to send loads of long messages. No one really wants to, open a new message from someone for the first time and then the message is so long, right? It's like you lose interest immediately. And so you start with a brief introduction of yourself. As a data analyst of 5+ years of experience, I specialize in helping companies leverage this data for decision making, something like that. Something that when the person that you're trying to reach out to or trying to send a proposal to opens your proposal, he immediately knows who is this person, what does this person have to offer me, and how can I be useful to this person. And right after you introduce yourself, you immediately align to a unique skill, experience that sets you apart, right? Like I said, I'm talking about this from a beginner's perspective as well. And also this also works if you have quite some years of experience as well in trying to get some contract or trying to work as a freelancer. And so you have to put in, I haven't worked with clients in this particular industry. Could be an industry where that particular person is, or one that is very similar to what they do. Then you have to put I understand the challenges or the challenges the business face, and I can provide tailored solutions. And then next thing, you have to show that you understand the client needs, right? So if you're trying to pitch to a CEO of a startup or to a CEO of a consulting company, I've seen you guys visualizations. It's amazing. It's good, and I definitely think there is so much work we bring into the company or to improve whatever it is that you guys have going on there. And then you try as much as possible to clarify ambiguities, right? So you ask questions like key questions for clarification, but most importantly, you make sure you get or you understand what the client needs and you try to put it back, right? This also applies in another way. If it's Upwork or Fiverr, and then there's a job post and they're trying to send a proposal for that. You also make sure that when you're sending your proposal, you're putting or you're facing a problem or objective that are trying to fulfill in your own words. And then right after that, you describe your approach and your solution, right? So how are you going to approach this problem that the person has? How are you going to approach this problem that you think that they have and you think you could be helpful in helping them do this? And then next, timelines and milestones, you offer a realistic project schedule. In a case where the client has put out a project and is looking for a freelancer to like deliver that project, or if it's in a case where there is no project and you're trying to get yourself out there, you also talk about the things that you feel you can definitely contribute right away, right? And talk about how much you joining or you being a part of what they do could be a benefit. So I'm thinking about two perspectives. You're thinking from perspective of where there is a job ad out there and then you're trying to write a proposal. You definitely have to talk about your budgets, the payment terms, and then your call to action, like being patient earlier, right? Like, how do I encourage you to take the next step? If you're ready to move forward, let's schedule a quick call. Make sure like in your proposal, you have your email, your phone number, you have a calendar link, something to make yourself very, very reachable. And so tips for writing tailored proposals. First of all, you have to research the client. Either it's a job post out there on a freelancing platform, or you're trying to reach out to someone to get an opportunity. Make sure you research the client, you research the industry, and the proposal is very, very much customized to what they do. Try as much as possible to avoid going to ChatGPT and write a proposal for me and then you copy and paste it verbatim. It really, it really doesn't show how much effort you're trying to put into it, right? I mean, AI is there to help everyone, but you definitely have to fine-tune things to fit what you've researched. And then you use client-specific language to resonate with their goals. You make sure like when you speak, it feels like you understand the problem, so you understand the needs, and you also understand what you get to bring to the table. Definitely, you try to showcase results from similar projects you've completed. There's nothing that shows how much you know than showing how much you've done, right? So that's just a strategy. Then you showcase your portfolio project if you're starting out and you have lots of experience. Yeah, several tools and templates for writing proposals. There is Canva, there's Google Docs if you want to like write things out to make your thoughts coherent, or you want to have something like going to be design oriented. There's Proposify, there's Standard Docs to create and track proposals. You can also use, like ChatGPT, Gemini, and all of that. But as much as possible, try to make sure like you're talking in your own, your own sense, your own language, and you particularly get what you're trying to say. And then you definitely use Grammarly for like making sure like your text, you don't want someone that is reading your proposals to read something that is full of errors, grammatical errors that doesn't really showcase confidence. But the most important thing is you have to know that the freelancer, applying for gigs is a numbers game, right? You will definitely get a lot of rejections. Basically in life, everything you do, before you get a yes, there could be several no's. And the moment you stop, you reduce the chances from 25% or 5% or 10% to practically 0%, right? So the moment you try, it doesn't work, and then you give up and then you stop right away, then you literally have a chance of getting it. So it's a numbers game, and the more effort you put into it and the more opportunities you pursue, the higher chances of landing success. It's as simple as that, right? You have to keep trying until you get it, because it's usually that's tricky sometimes to get it for the first time. And usually once you get into it for the first time, second time, third time, then it definitely becomes easier. So yeah, that's just a run through of it. So thank you very much.
Thank
Ella,
you.
yeah.
Thank you so much. That was so insightful. That was so impactful. If you have any questions at all for Mr. Gbolahan, please, I'm so sorry. Please put it in the Q&A. Thank you. We will have 3 people speak questions at the end, and then we'll take 3 Q&As and then 2 people speaking if you have any questions to ask. Mr. Samadeen Mukhtar, please put that question into the Q&A, that question of can we leverage ChatGPT so that we can answer it later and it doesn't get lost in the chat box. Yes, so before we go back to Mr. Gbolahan, I just want to announce one more winner of our giveaway. So can we have drum roll, please? And the winner of this particular person, we have 2 more winners, is Mumem Joy. Mumem Joy, if you are here, congratulations. You just got $10 to use on the platform. Yes, that's right. So on to our next session. We have our last session for the night before we round up. So Mr. Gbolahan, please could you share your screen and just take us through?
Yeah, I think I try to take both at the same time so we can take the rest for questions.
Okay.
Because it was
That's
quite
fine.
similar to what Bimpe talked about already. So I tried to take both at the same time, so it's not repetitive.
That's fine. That's perfect. Then we can move on to the Q&A. So the Q&A, we have our 3 questions here. So for Mr. Adebimpe, I think this question is for you. So if you can just answer it live. Does this apply to a data entry specialist, like what you talked about? How can a data entry specialist use your method, your technique to get clients in the US and Europe?
Okay. Thank you very much for that question. So what I said is, I'm just going to recap, is like every role has different terms in which they relate to different clients, right? And I always like to put out the takeaway first in all my conversations, so that I know I'm going to say a lot of things, but I always want you to always remember everything. And this applies to any other person I want to ask something written like this, but they have a specific field. It is FOMO, fear of missing out. You always want to make sure that you put in your clients that if they do not work with you, I'm not saying that you should what's the word now? You should threaten them, right? But just want to put at the back of the mind of a client that if they do not work with you, they can tend to lose a lot of things. Say, for example, a data entry specialist now that you are is basically the same thing, right? So what's the activity of a data entry specialist, right? So they can help the client save time by entering data and making sure that those data being entered are actually accurate, verified, and correct, right? So you want to pose it as a problem for them that, okay, in the course of your research, you found out that many companies struggle, or their company too is struggling with working with the right set of person that solve this problem for them, in the sense of getting correct data or quick delivery, right? And you are the kind of person that can achieve that for them, right? And then you also want to paint a beautiful picture of what it's going to look like working with you, or what they are going to derive after working with you. So You can tell them, I guarantee you speed, I guarantee you quick response, and so on and so forth. But that bottom line is very important. The fear of missing out is the beginning of wisdom. Thank you. Ella, you here?
Thanks, Ruth, you were able to question. Hello, can you hear me? Hello?
Yeah, we can
Yes,
hear
we
you.
can hear you.
Okay, yes. So the next question for Adebimpe just came in now. As a Scrum Master trying to get freelancing gigs, do I need to create a portfolio in order to attract clients?
Every and any job needs a portfolio, because that's the way they can believe you have a body of work that they can see and they can verify to be true, right? Before choosing to work with you. So I don't always advise this, right? Because the thing is, sometimes usually this kind of like egg and chicken paradox, right? So is that you could choose to volunteer for tasks, right? You can look for, you can even reach out to Eurpoe, you can reach out to people to volunteer to work on tasks for them, and then that will now make you have a body of work that you can structure as a compelling, because your portfolio is also a compelling story process, right? So everything is just about telling stories and making sure that, and a lot of people used to think that it's about you convincing them. No, it's actually about you telling them things to convince themselves that they should invest in you. So it's all about like, how can you tell somebody that, please convince yourself to buy into me, not I'm trying to convince you. That's why, like, when you start thinking from all those kind of different point of view, it's going to change a lot of the way you are going to say things, or a lot of the way you present yourself out there. But when you're listening from your own perspective, oh, I'm trying to convince this person. If you're trying to convince this person, it's not really going to work. But you are going to ask like, okay, how can I be a psychologist and understand this person, and then inform this person on certain things that the person will now use to convince themselves to achieving that goal? That is when you see a very notable difference. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So does any question they want to ask? He's been awesome. So just raise your hand if you do. Okay, so no raised hands. Thank you so much, Mr. Adebimpe. Like, it's been awesome having you here, like sharing your knowledge with everybody. Like, we thank you and we really do appreciate you. So going to Mr. Gbolahan, so we have some questions for you. So Odiri Odunayo is saying, is it okay if we introduce ourselves first, then the next day we can now write our pitch and the rest? Or do we just write everything together on the same day?
Yeah, I suppose this is sort of like reaching out to people that you are trying to connect with, maybe on LinkedIn or something. Yeah, personally, what I try to do is first, when you try to network with people, you have to first make sure like if it doesn't really feel transactional all the time. So it's fine for you to network and connect with people just for the sake of connecting initially. And you don't initially try to connect to someone, and as soon as they accept your connect, you are badging them a request already. Doesn't really give that value of it's a network. Like it feels like you're just looking for something, but that's it. But as well, it depends, right? So if someone is putting out a job ad on their profile or something on LinkedIn, then definitely you are connecting for the purpose of reaching out or writing a proposal for that job. But if you are trying to connect with people so that you can have them in your network and also be in their network, and the way LinkedIn usually works is if you're connected also on LinkedIn, you sort of see what people in the network post. And then if you post something and then they interact with it, people in their network as well sees it, right? And so that means you connect with someone that could potentially be an employer or someone that could potentially give you a gig or a contact. Other people that is also connected with could also see your stuff, right, when they interact with it. And so you have to make it look both ways. Like you definitely are networking just for the sake of networking. And even though you have a long game or in your mind at the end of the day, you have to like start really connect to people for the sake of networking, interact with their posts, comment on their posts if they do post, and then if you post and like that, so it's a give and take process, and then you look for your perfect opportunity when you see like this kind of person really interacts with what you do, and if they likes your work or what you post on your portfolio, and then from there you can go ahead to send a proposal or try to lobby for whatever it is you have in mind. But definitely when you're trying to network with people, let it feel like you're networking because you want to be a part of their network, and you also want that to be vice versa, not just for the sake of directly reaching out for jobs and whatnot. Yeah.
Thank you so much for answering that. I really hope that Odiri, you could, get what you needed from that answer, because I know I did. I definitely jump first when I am reaching out. So, I mean, it's learning to take a different approach sometimes. That's right. So next question, we have Samadine Mukhtar. Can we leverage ChatGPT using the points you mentioned as prompts and just fine tune it?
Yeah, definitely, right? Because I'll be lying if I say I don't use ChatGPT in my day to day. Almost everyone does. But what's very, very important is you have to if you don't just fine tune it, if it's fine for you to take ideas or for you to get inspiration for what you're looking for, or you definitely have to write things out your own self. Especially when you're trying to reach out to people for jobs, or you're trying to write proposals for a job ad, or you're trying to reach out to people as well, because it's very important that people feel that interpersonal relationship that you're trying to create, or that people understand that you're reaching out to me for this job, you understand what this job requires, you understand what the requirements are and what you can offer. And so you have to make it sound like yourself. Um, Imagine you have to send several hundreds of proposals over like several months because you're looking for a gig. And definitely at some point, you need to be inspired. You need to see something to say, okay, how can I write something that looks different to what I've been writing in the past, right? Because if you keep trying something and doesn't work, you have to try something else. And so this is where this AI tools come into place, right? So they help you to keep these ideas fresh and like try new things basically. But because they also help you to do that, does not mean you become overly reliant on them and then you just copy and paste what they give you and sort of remove one or two things and then put it back. It feels repetitive at some point, right? So and then at some point you don't even know what was working or what's not working. Imagine every time you want to apply for a job, you go to ChatGPT, you copy and paste it, and you're not getting results. Maybe 1 or 2 days you got results. You can't properly analyze which style you used that worked fine. So you have to chop and change and try new different things. And that way you can be able to say, oh, when I wrote my proposals this way, I actually got much more responses and much more gigs than I did when I wrote it in the other way. And that's something you don't get with ChatGPT because it's sort of sometimes tailored to the way you write the prompt. And that's exactly what it's going to give you back. So yes, you can use it for inspiration. Yes, you can use it to get ideas of how you're going to write things, but you have to make sure you're not overly reliant on it. And then you have to write things your own self and do the hard work.
Yeah, basically ChatGPT is there as a tool. It's not a crutch. It's how should I say, it's not something you should definitely be over reliant on. Like I personally learned not to be over reliant on autocorrect because I found out that I was slowly forgetting how to spell some words. So yeah. Our last question for the night is how often should your portfolio be reviewed? And should it be reviewed by yourself or someone higher than you in your field? Like maybe a peer-to-peer review?
Yeah. I think the answer is in the question. When you put out something, you definitely want to review it yourself, right? And sometimes a second pair of eyes looking at something is really good because when you work on a project, for example, for a while, you tend to miss out things because you look at it almost all the time, and then sometimes you skip very minute details out of it, right? And it's usually very good to get feedback. It's usually the best way because whoever is going to look at it is going to look at it from the perspective of I didn't know what this person had in mind when I was building it. I'm always seeing the final product and how the final product applies to me. And so that's something I also do when I'm trying to put out a project as well for my portfolio. When I build it, I call someone and say, hey, look at this thing, and just try to tell me what this thing signifies to you. If you get the message I'm trying to pass across, if you get the idea that is behind this project. Because every time you put something out there, you're not always going to be there standing beside the message to say, this was what was going through my mind when I was trying to build it, and this is how it's going to be applicable to you. Your work is just out there, and then it needs to speak for you. And so for you to be able to validate how much information or how much knowledge anybody that looks at your work gets, it's very good for you to say one or two people, hey, come look at this, give me feedback. What do you think this thing means, right? Because you're not always going to be there to explain it. And so first you do the internal review yourself, right? Because you should be your greatest critic for real. And then also you put it out there for your friends or people that like your peer or someone that's higher than you. If you have the opportunity to do that, to review it, to look at it from the perspective of an outsider that is looking at it for the first time. And that definitely elevates the level of your work in your portfolio. And then how often should your portfolio be reviewed? I don't know. I think it's up to you. I think personally, I'm not talking from my perspective as a visualization developer, right? I build projects and I put them on my tablet public. Some people like to, when the better they are, they like to go back to the initial project and restructure it and then post it again. But I really don't like to do that because I think I like to show progress in anything that you do. Basically, no one started from being an expert, right? And it's really important to show that career, like to show that level of progression that you've had through your career, right? And it's usually good when someone goes to your portfolio and see, oh, this person started, see how work this project is, and let's see how good this last project that this person has done. So this person is learning, this person is working with new people, this person is taking so much knowledge, there is so much progress that has been shown in his work. And then it's very, very easy for a client or a potential client to want to, engage you because they know that even if you start this project at this level, this stage, they are very, very much comfortable with keeping you even long term because that means in that particular domain, in that particular industry, in that particular business, you just keep getting better. It's obvious by your portfolio that you are someone that keep getting better, you keep getting better, you keep improving on what you've done. And so clients are much more happy to stick with such people for a long time, right? Because that means if I come to work with a client that is in the marketing industry today and I have little to no knowledge of marketing industry and what it is, and then on my portfolio, you've seen like I started from this and I've moved to this, you're much more happy to say, you know what, let's start working together. I'm sure with time you will get better at this thing because it's obvious from your portfolio. So yes, review your portfolio, but please let there be proof of progress. Don't be the kind of person that you go back to edit what you've done initially just because you wanted to make it better. Every new project that you do should be a better one than the last, and that should be a reflection of how much you grow. So that's my answer.
Thank you so much for those words. That was so impactful. Thank you so much. Before I hand it over to one of my co-hosts to round up, I want to announce the last two winners of our giveaway. So drum roll, please. We have Divine Nkwocha and Michael Ifeanyichukwu. Congratulations to both of you. You both have won yourself $10. I will read out again the list of winners, just in case anyone missed their name. So that would be Afiz Akani, Damilola Babalola, Divine Nkwocha, Mumen Joy, Michael Ifeanyichukwu, and then Ruth Zion. Those are the 6 winners of our giveaway today. We just want to say thank you, a big thank you to the 6 of you for coming in the earliest. We really do appreciate your promptness, and we hope you enjoy your gift. Please, please wait for us to reach out to you via email so that you can use your voucher. In the meantime, download the Ripple app if you have not done so, because that is where you'll be receiving your $10. Thank you very much. Now I will be inviting Mr. Oluwatomisin Kolawole to come and help us close this webinar.
Hi guys. Thank you so much, Ella. That was an amazing coordination all through the event. Yeah, so thank you, Gbolahan. Thank you, Omolasho, for the time and for taking time to speak to the audience. I kind of learned a lot myself, right? So I wish I was a freelancer from the way you were speaking, so that I could also get a lot of clients and getting some money doing you're getting lots of money, right? So yeah, awesome work. Thank you so much. To everyone who came around for the meeting, would like to say a big thank you. Of course, this is organized by Ripple, and Ripple is pretty much a digital payment and remittance platform that helps freelancers to be able to receive payment in multiple currencies. We give you access to USD banking account, Euros banking accounts, and also soon to come pounds banking accounts. So yeah, so we're super excited, to really have you on call once again. We'd like you to sign up and enjoy the amazing access and amazing opportunity Ripple has to offer. And of course, for us, we're going to be doing this multiple times because for us, our goal and focus first and foremost is impact, and we want to try and ensure we help you guys to make a lot of money as freelancers, right? And give you access to lots of opportunities. So we're going to be doing much more of this webinar. So be on the lookout. At some point, we're actually going to be bringing in companies. So watch out for our next webinar, right? We're going to be bringing in companies that recruits from North America and Europe to come speak. And, so possibly you guys will also get to engage with them. So ensure you, get, acquainted with our page and follow us on all platforms and, get ready, for the next webinar, possibly. And yeah, so once again, thank you so much for coming around. It was really nice having you guys around. I would like to hand over to Amaradi to, close it up. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thanks a lot again, guys, for coming on this webinar, right? And as Tommy and my co-host also mentioned, we'll be having much more of this, right? So we'll be talking to different perspectives, right? So this was specific, a little more specific to product designers, data analysts, and people around that environment, right? So we'll be speaking around to much more to like software engineers in the coming sessions. We'll also be speaking to copywriters as well, right? And other freelancers, isn't it? So invite your friends as much as possible, and keep tabs with us, keep in tune with us via our socials, Ripple.ai across all social media, right? So from Twitter to Facebook to Instagram, right? And even on LinkedIn, right? For people that are very active on LinkedIn as well. So, and I would also advise, or should I say, encourage all of us to like connect with ourselves on LinkedIn as well. Share opportunities with ourselves. Would also be creating channels for us to be able to like interact as much as possible within the next few weeks as well, a few days, where we're able to like connect directly with ourselves and have lovely meetings, right? Help each other to grow up the ladder as well, right? And just keep flying, isn't it? Yeah, that's it for this meeting. Thanks a lot, guys. See you again. So bye, guys.